There is an unwritten rule in the brutal world of combat sports. You can be outboxed, you can be outclassed, but the moment you resort to cheap, illegal tactics to survive, you wake up a monster. A professional fighter lands a devastating, completely illegal punch after the bell. He smirks. He thinks he just stole an easy victory, but the man across the ring doesn't fold. He absorbs the foul, locks eyes with the cheater, and taps into a terrifying rage. And suddenly, the smirk on the bully's face instantly melts into pure, unadulterated panic. What happens when an arrogant fighter tries to cheat the system, only to realize he just signed his own death warrant? Today, we look at the most satisfying moments of instant karma in boxing history. It was a moment the entire world was watching. Mike Tyson had just been released from prison, and Peter McNeeley wanted to steal his thunder. McNeely radiated toxic confidence. He trash-talked wildly on camera, swearing he would destroy the living legend. He thought he could physically and mentally break Tyson's self-control. When the fight started, McNeely charged across the ring like a rabid rhino. He tried to pressure. He tried to fight dirty. He threw wild, reckless punches, completely devoid of respect. But Tyson eats men like that for breakfast. Faced with true, unadulterated devastation, the loudmouth tough guy quickly realized his cheap trickery couldn't save him. Tyson landed a crushing, devastating right hand. The arrogant swagger disintegrated in a matter of seconds. The loudmouth became a permanent cautionary tale, utterly destroyed by his own hubris. But what happens when the disrespect starts before a single punch is even thrown? Mikhail Kokayv was a massive, heavily muscled bodybuilder. He had the physique of a comic book villain. He thought his towering size and chemically enhanced frame would naturally intimidate his opponent. But his opponent was Oleksandr Usyk, a seasoned veteran, a man who had spent his entire life in the brutal trenches of combat sports. Kokayv wanted to play the alpha male. Before the match even started, the giant committed a deeply arrogant act. He grabbed his cap and violently threw it directly at Alessonko. He wanted to belittle a much smaller man. He believed his sheer physical mass made him untouchable. The bell rang, and the giant stepped forward, but he quickly learned a devastating truth. Heavy muscles do not absorb heavy trauma. Alessonko didn't just knock him out. That would have been too merciful. Instead, he purposefully kept the towering bully on his feet. He refused to finish him. He turned the giant into a human punching bag, treating him like a complete joke. The bodybuilder was gasping for air, desperately realizing he didn't belong in a ring with a killer. After toying with his food, Alessonko decided he was bored. He landed one crushing blow. The giant's legs turned instantly to jelly, and he completely collapsed. When a bully is exposed on that level, the fall from grace is absolute. But sometimes, the disrespect happens not out of arrogance, but out of pure, unadulterated panic. Across the world, an undefeated prospect named Sultan felt a rush of godlike power. Only 15 seconds after the opening bell, he landed a devastating shot. His opponent, Melovich, violently crashed to the canvas. Sultan grinned. He got cocky. He went for the immediate finish. He thought the night was over. He thought the victory was already in his pocket. That should have been the warning sign. Melovich didn't stay down. He rose to his feet, completely devoid of fear. The dynamic of the room instantly shifted. Suddenly, Sultan wasn't the hunter. He was the prey. He was being taken to a dark place, swinging wildly at the air, clumsily missing his target. His ego was severely wounded. He was desperate to regain control. Sultan waited for the referee to call a break in the action. He knew his opponent's guard would be completely down. In a grotesque display of cowardice, he lunged forward. He unleashed a vicious, illegal punch right after the break. He wanted an easy knockout. He wanted a shortcut. Instead, he woke up a monster. Melovich absorbed the cheap shot, locked eyes with the cheat, and tapped into a terrifying rage. A blistering combination of vengeance echoed through the arena. Overnight, the cocky prospect traded his quick success for a savage, prolonged beating. He was dropped, punished, battered until his ego was entirely erased. A dirty fighter had been physically broken in the ring. Yet somehow, there was still a man delusional enough to try this exact same arrogance at the very pinnacle of the sport. For years, Marco Huck was the undisputed enforcer of his division. He carried an aura of terrifying brute force. He didn't just beat challengers, he bullied them. At the pre-fight press conference, he physically shoved his undefeated opponent, Oleksandr Usyk. He wanted to establish dominance. He wanted to smell fear. It was a psychological tactic that had always worked. At that point, it looked like nobody on earth could stop him. But in the ring, the terrifying reality began to set in. Huck threw his heavy punches. They landed clean. His opponent just smiled at him. The fear factor completely evaporated. For a cocky fighter, there is nothing more deeply unsettling than an opponent who actually enjoys the violence. Breathing grew heavy. Footwork became sloppy. Huck was panic-stricken. He had to find a way out. He had to bend the rules to break his opponent's rhythm. He had no idea this decision would cost him everything. During a chaotic exchange, Usyk slipped a punch. Huck saw an opening, not a legal one, but a dirty one. He maliciously struck his opponent directly in the back of the head. It was a highly dangerous, forbidden blow. The referee immediately stopped the action. Points were deducted, but the real penalty was about to be delivered without a whistle. Tired of the blatant disrespect, the smiling opponent went dead cold. He unleashed a sickening hail of punches. The man who looked unbeatable suddenly looked painfully human. He wasn't just getting beaten, he was being methodically dismantled. Huck was sent back to the shadows, utterly humiliated in front of millions. We are a society obsessed with winners. But true character is only revealed in the face of absolute destruction. Anyone can smile when their hand is being raised in victory. But what happens when the lights are blinding, the lungs are burning, and a man realizes he is completely outclassed? Does he bite down on his mouthpiece and fight to the bitter end? Or does he look for a shortcut in the gutter? The sport forgives defeat. It never forgives a rat. When the illusion of invincibility shatters, who is the man left standing in the ring?